We go from one pile to another.
Children, have you ever met the bogeyman before? No, of course you haven't, for you're much too good, I'm sure.
Seriously, was this film produced by 6th graders?
Don't you be afraid of him if he should visit you. He's a great big coward, so I'll tell you what to do.
And this will be the last Antonio Banderas movie I watch. At least on purpose.
Hush, hush, hush. Here comes the bogeyman. Don't let him come too close to you. He'll catch you if he can.
I wish people would stop asking me if I've seen Infinity War. No, I have not seen Infinity War. When Netflix gets it and ships it to me in the mail, then I'll watch the stupid thing. But it's so good. It's good. Let me guess. They're facing what seemingly invincible foe and yada yada yada. Well, yeah, but it's different because Thor does this and Hulk goes smash smash and that's original how. Boy, I hope it wins Best Picture. I'm gonna save this movie for last. However far I get in this stupid countdown, I'm gonna carve out the last 4 hours on New Year's Eve from 8 p.m. to midnight. I'm gonna watch this Infinity War. It's gonna be the poop end of my list.
Just pretend that you're a crocodile, and you will find that bogeyman will run away a mile.
1200 Films Podcast, and we are halfway to the record. In this episode, I'll be reviewing up to 576, which is exactly halfway to 1132. So we're halfway home. It's a lot of movies, people. Don't try to break this record. It'll drive you crazy. But later on, at the end of the show, I'll be recapping the top 10 films I've watched so far this year. In no particular order, but I'll just briefly recap them. But you can look forward to that. But let's get going. 551, Big Legend, another Sasquatch movie. I know I've watched probably 15 Sasquatch movies. And this one was okay. It was decent. Surprisingly, usually they're B-level movie bad, but this was fine. This couple, this newlywed couple, they're not newlywed, they're newly engaged, excuse me, and they're out and camping, and the guy is taking a pee-pee or whatever he's doing, and he's left the camp, and then Bigfoot takes the tent and the woman all together and just takes off with her and disappears, and then they see the guy in a mental ward because he swears Bigfoot took his wife, but no one believes him. They say he's crazy, so he finally admits to saying, she just walked off or vanished or whatever, and so that way he can get out of the mental home. And of course, as soon as he gets out, he decides to go hunt down this Bigfoot. Now, what Bigfoot did with the woman, we don't know. He probably fornicated with her before smashing her against a tree, but the movie doesn't tell us that, so we just have to assume. So he's out looking for Bigfoot, and this Bigfoot's a douche. This Bigfoot was probably molested as a child and has become a dirty, mean Bigfoot. But, anyway. So he's hunting this evil Bigfoot, and this Bigfoot's making this life miserable. And, then he finds this other guy out there, this other hunter, and he's kind of quasi looking for Bigfoot too. He knows he's out there, but he's not really looking, but he ends up joining his operation. And of course the helper gets injured, and he has to help the other guy back to safety. And of course, as they're trying to get out of there, Bigfoot's tracking him down. And fine movie though. Lance Hendrickson popped up in the very end in the cameo. It's nice to see that guy. Boy, is he getting old though. Next movie, 552, Bjorn versus McEnroe. This is a new release. This from 1980 when top tennis player Bjorn Borg fought up-and-coming American John McEnroe. And I remember they had fought twice in Wimbledon finals, and this is basically what it revolves around. And I knew each one had won, so I didn't know which one this was centering on, so I didn't know who won. But I know each one had won. But anyway, it was interesting. It was Shia LaBeouf was an interesting casting. As John McEnroe, he looked like him. If only John C. Reilly was 20 years younger, he could have stole the show and been McEnroe. But other than that, I did not know that Bjorn was such a obsessive compulsive freak. He would obsessively check the wires in his tennis rackets and make sure they're as tight as possible. I never know he was weird like that. But yep, interesting film. 553, The Lost City, a never ever ending Andy Garcia movie. Boy, he makes some long... I've discussed this before. This man makes some long, boring movies. His brother joins the revolution, and he says, if I die, then take care of my wife, and yada yada. Oh, he takes care of his wife. Ends up marrying her and running off with her. And Bill Murray was in this. I don't understand Bill Murray's role. He was hanging out with Andy Garcia, and he would make little wisecracks here and there. But beyond that, I don't understand what his real purpose was. He was just kind of hanging out. But eventually, the revolution's during Castro. It doesn't go Andy Garcia's way, so he takes off for America. Then it kind of goes from there for the last half hour. But, yep, long. 552, 10,000 Saints, Ethan Hawke. He adopted this kid. And this kid is doing drugs with his buddy. They do something or other, and some kind of drug, unknown drug, and then you're out in the snow, and they both pass out in the snow, and then they wake up, and the one friend's dead. And so now the son has to deal with this, and so Ethan Hawke has to actually be a parent for the first time in his life and help his son through this. And then just before his friend died, he knocked up the girl the other friend was interested in. So now they have a baby coming from the dead guy. Then Emil Hirsch pops up in this. He's the brother of the dead kid. He's a punk rocker. Apparently Emil Hirsch can play anything. But it was fine. Bit over dramatic, but fine. 555, The American Side. This private investigator, he's friends with this hooker. And she's like a hooker / frame artist, and she tries to frame people and get their money. And while she's doing her thing, she gets murdered, and then the private investigator goes after the guy that he thinks did it, and then that guy disappears, and it all has something to do with the Tesla machine, and he gets in too deep, and it's a little tough to follow, but I guess it was alright. 556, Zombies of Mass Destruction, comedy horror. It had its moments. There was these zombies attacked this small little New England town. I think it's like a little island, but it's so ridiculous. The gay couple in this was kind of funny. The one boyfriend was trying to come out to his mother with his boyfriend there. And then by the time she went into the kitchen and came back out, she had become a zombie. And that's when they were trying to come out to her. So they figured she just reacted negatively. But no, she's just a zombie. She's just mad. Yeah, it was okay. 557, Devil's Whisper. This was good. A movie can be low budget and not be poop. This movie proved it. It was fine. This young, expiring priest, I guess, he gets possessed by a demon, and this demon means business. And he gradually gets possessed and slowly gets angrier and angrier, and yeah. The kid, I don't know the kid's name that was possessed, but he was excellent. I'll have to learn his name if he ever pops up again. But yeah, good movie. A not so good movie, 558 Moth. I did my special Mothman edition in the last episode, so I didn't watch this. It's a little artsy fartsy, but this teacher and this student go looking for Mothman in Hungary. I thought Mothman was in Point Pleasant, but apparently they went out looking in Hungary. Probably because it's cheap to film there. But it started fine, and then it kind of turned into a cheap Blair Witch type thing with noises in the woods. And then it took another turn downhill. I'm like, Jesus. For once, the Amazon 2-star rating was accurate. This is a 2-star movie. 559. Ghost Story. This was from the early 80s. This was Fred Astaire and Melvin Douglas's final film. Melvin Douglas popped up in a lot of old horror films in the 40s and 50s and stayed active until this movie here before he died. And Fred Astaire, I'm sure you've all heard of. Those two were listed as the stars, but they're not really in this much. It's basically about this 4 elderly people that have this 50-year-old secret. They killed a woman, sort of, accidentally. But now the ghost is haunting one of their kids, and trying to kill the kid. And the kid is like, I don't know, 45, 50 years old, and he's actually the real star of the film. But it doesn't really pick up until the last half hour, then it's still just okay. But yeah, not great. 560. It's in the blood. I enjoyed Lance Hendrickson in Big Legend, so I looked for something else he's done, and I found this one. I probably shouldn't avoid his movies, because I see they're not so good. This one was no exception. He's meeting with his son out in the woods to go camping, and the son accidentally killed the sister a year ago, and the dad's trying to say I don't hold a grudge, and they're getting haunted by something in the woods, and it turns out the son's got a lot of dark secrets, and it's just not executed very well. It could have been good, but it wasn't. 561 Vampire Clan. This was from way back in 2002, based on a true story. If I don't hear that all every time I turn around, these kids think they're vampires, so they go on a killing spree because they think they can do that because they're vampires. So they hang out and drink others' blood and conspire murder. Basically. Yeah. Not so great. I don't know what else to say about this. That's about all that happened. Sum it up. 562. This was fun. Bo McGraw and the Alabama Bigfoot. Another one that had zero budget but found a way to be entertaining. This movie decided to go the humorous route. The Bo McGraw main character was so good that he saved this film. Yeah. And the Bigfoot in this is hilarious too. This one eyewitness woman was getting in a fight with Bigfoot because he was trying to give traffic directions. The woman's like, "No, Bigfoot, you go first." Bigfoot's like, "No, you go ahead. You go ahead." But anyway, back to Bo McGraw. He's this southern boy that likes to play his guitar, but he can't play more than one stanza of "Man of Constant Sorrow" without getting emotional because the song's so deep. So every time he starts it, he has to stop. And he loves that Kaneka jerky. Everything he talks about is, "I love gonna get me some Kaneka jerky." Whatever he eats, he throws in a little Kaneka jerky, whatever the heck that is. But, yeah, I'm probably not selling it very well, but it's, entertaining watch. 563, not so entertaining. The Night of the Demon. This class of student teenagers, it's an 80s movie, and they go on an expedition looking for Bigfoot, which is fine, I know, but I guess Bigfoot's supposed to be a demon in this. There was one scene where a motorcyclist got off his bike to pee, and Bigfoot bit his thingy off. Is that what demons do? I don't know. But yeah, they're out in the woods, and this demon Bigfoot, whatever he is killing people off one by one, and yada yada. Yeah, you can skip that one. Oh, here we go. 564, A Quiet Place. Yep. Boy, Chuck Love watched a new release. Yes, I just got Pacific Rim in the mail too. I can't wait to watch that. But I have never, Quiet Place, I've never taken so many notes for one film ever. Usually it's a couple lines, maybe a paragraph. I have a whole page of stuff to talk about. So let's go. Okay, the evil aliens. Problem one. The evil aliens in this are blind. So how did they find Earth? Are they just bouncing around the universe and just stumbled into our little planet? Then Jimbo from The Office, that's how I remember him, whatever his real name is. He's lugging his family around, scavenging for food, trying to survive. And then the littlest kid is making noise, and they keep telling him to stop, and he keeps making more noise, and almost getting the whole family killed. If your kid can't understand noise bad, silence good, then maybe they should have left him home. Maybe stick him in a ball of cotton and leave him somewhere while you're doing your scavenging, because obviously he doesn't know what's going on. He can't grasp the concept. Then eventually he makes a bunch of noise and gets himself killed, the little boy. He's like, well, you're lucky you didn't get the whole family killed. If the boy did survive that attack, I would have thrown him off the bridge. Like, he's going to get us killed. He's got to go. Or, like my other idea, we stick him in a ball of cotton and leave him. So Jim and his family, they fast forward a few hundred days later. Their little kid almost gets him killed. So what do? Well, let's have another baby. Because what's a little baby gonna do but scream and cry and make noises? Why would you have a baby in this situation? That's my next point. Maybe Jimbo should have stopped looking into hearing aids and maybe read a book on how to do abortions, because maybe that would be the proper thing to do in this situation. He could have been the town abortionist, if that's even a word. And then Jimbo takes his one son to the river and is like, look, we can make all the noise we want. The river's loud and the waterfall's loud. We can scream and yell. And then why don't you move your family there? Especially if you're going to have a GD baby that's going to scream and kick and... But nope. Let's have the baby with the aliens 100 feet away waiting for noise so they can jump on you and slash you to pieces, because that's what they do. Beyond that, the film was fine. Okay. Next movie, 565, Colors. This was a 1988 cop movie starring Sean Penn and Robert Duvall. I don't know how I missed this film, but I did. This was an excellent, gritty little movie. They're trying to stop the Crips and Blood gang warfare going on in L.A. and having mixed luck. Of course, Sean Penn just wants to beat the crap out of everybody, and Robert Duvall is trying to do it more, sociable. Domestic, the proper way. But, there was a lot of young actors in this. If you look closely, you can see a little young, chubby Mario Lopez in this. He was like 10. This was pre-Saved by the Bell, but yeah, he was in there. Tony Todd was in there, pre-Candyman. Yeah, but a good, gritty little cop movie. 566, Laid to Rest. This character called Chrome Skull kidnaps women and then sticks them in coffins and then films it and tortures them and then sends it to the cops, and the cops don't know what to do because they can't catch him. And eventually one girl escapes and goes to get help, but Chrome Skull is coming after him. It's a basic slasher film, I guess. It's nothing really. It was fine. There's a sequel, and I watched it. That's coming up later. So we'll discuss that when we get to it. But yeah, it was okay. 567, Tim's Vermeer. Tim, who is buddy with Penn Jillette of Penn and Teller, he has an obsession with the artist Vermeer, and decides that he's going to make a painting just like Vermeer. And through his research, he thinks that Vermeer didn't directly paint it like a normal painter does, just watching it, by looking at it and then painting it. He thinks he more or less like used reflections and stuff and basically just kind of traced it. Because there's no undersketchings to Vermeer's paintings. He just painted it directly. He didn't do a sketching beforehand. So eventually he figures out how to do it and makes an almost perfect Vermeer replica. That was after he had to wait over a year to get all the fixings for the room he wanted to copy off the Vermeer, which was ridiculous. But yeah, interesting little movie of this guy's project, who obviously has all the time in the world to do this stuff. Oh, 568. Welcome to Woop Woop. There's a little story behind this one. This movie I've been hunting down for a long time. Beginning last year, I tried to find this, and the only place I could find if there was a couple DVD copies, but they all wanted like $20 for this. And Amazon wanted a ridiculous amount to buy it off them for just pay-per-view, And Netflix didn't have a copy, and to send it for my mail, so I was like, how do I get this movie? So finally, at long last, it pops up on my little Roku thing that this movie is available, and it's on Vudu for free. So I said, oh, hot dog, finally. Well, the mission, the journey was better than the destination. This film's not much. Jonathan Schaech stars, and this New Yorker who is quasi-involved with this murder. So he skips the country and goes to Australia. And he falls in love with this chick, and he kind of passes out because he's doing drugs or whatever. And he wakes up and he's married to her, and he's stuck in this tiny little town of, I guess, Australian Hicks, I guess the best way to describe it. And he's trying to get out, but he can't. So it's kind of a fish out of water type thing. But yeah, other than that, this was void of laughs. It wasn't a bad movie, it just didn't have much. But it's finally out of the way. 569, Shortwave. There's two guys and this girl are using the shortwave radio to I think they're trying to talk to their dead child, or one of their dead children, and they aren't. They're talking to these creatures, these demon-like creatures, and they end up getting stuck in this house, and these creatures start attacking them, and yeah, that's about it. Not much. 570, The Quarry, inspired by true events. The first 10 minutes of this film, it was so bad I almost had to stop. It's just this dude talking about his friends. He's sitting on his bed. Yeah, me and my buddies were gonna go to this and do this and this and this. It's 10 minutes of nothing. Like, what is this? And eventually it picks up. He picks up his friends and they go to the local Kroger. How do I know it was a Kroger? Because I could see the items they were picking up. I could see the Kroger brand on the shelf, so I know it was a Kroger. And they passed by the Tennessee Volunteer Stadium, so I know they're in Knoxville. So they went to a Kroger in or around the Knoxville area. But anyway, they go to the Quarry, and they're, of course, the one douchebag has to record everything, and he does. And he's recording, and eventually they get attacked by this dude, and things spiral out of control. And yeah, can't say much more. I'll give it away. 571, Dawn. This was a bad thriller. Boy, whew. The trailer was deceptive. This slutty woman takes off with her daughter. Boy, the daughter spends a lot of time in the trunk of the car. If I was the daughter, I'd be pissed. I'd be trying to escape and running away. But she's kind of sickly. And I'm sure being in the trunk of the car most of the time didn't help. And then there's this ex-cop trying to chase her down. Of course, there's a connection, and nothing really happens in this movie. It just kind of trolls along. 572, Trust. Clive Owen has his family, and he's got a son that's going off to college, and he's got a young kid. I can't remember if it's a boy or a girl. But then he's got a middle child that's a 14-year-old girl, and she's talking online with a special friend that she hasn't met or seen, and he claims to be a young boy. Then he admits, I'm not so young, I'm 20. And then he admits to being 25, but she still wants to meet her special online friend, so of course she sneaks out to the airport and meets this guy, and he's not 25, he's like 40 and creepy. But she still likes him, so she kind of goes along, and she ends up, shaboom, boom, boom. And then she tells her best friend, and then her best friend tells the principal, and the principal tells the cops, then her family knows, and then everyone knows. And she's not happy. And of course, the FBI gets involved. They're trying to track this guy down, and the father, Clive Owen, is very upset. He makes it his personal mission to find this dude, so he's kind of going undercover as a little girl to try to find these guys hooking up with little girls. And it sounds like a Lifetime channel movie, but it's not. It's actually well produced. It was halfway interesting. But yeah, not bad. 573. Oh, and the Trust movie was directed by David Schwimmer. Side note, I thought you should know. 573, Devil in the Dark. There's this area where a lot of people go missing, and 30 years ago, this two brothers had this horrific experience out in this area. So 30 years later, they decided we should go hiking in that spot. That sounds like a good idea. And of course, things spiral out of control. They start getting chased by this Slender Man looking thing with antlers, and if it hasn't been done 1,000 times, it could have been interesting. 574, Chrome Skull, Laid to Rest 2. In this one, in the sequel, I mentioned the first one earlier. In this one, they splurged and brought in heavy-hitting actor Brian Austin Green from 90210. So they're going all out. Oh, and Jonathan Sheck also appeared in the first one and in the second one, even though he was killed in the first one. Figure that one. And it wasn't a prequel. So it's basically more the same, but this time Chrome Skull has this group of like creepy followers that try to kill like he does and get tattooed like he does. And in the first one, he had his face like beat off, like hit with a baseball bat, so it was literally beat off. So the Chrome Skull he puts the Chrome Skull to cover his beat off face. This movie. But other than that, it's more the same. More chicks hiding in coffins, trying to hide from him, and he kills them and video records it. And he's also not too fond of his followers. He gets annoyed with them. But yeah. Where was I? 575 Pulse. This was an 80s movie starring a very, very young Joey Lawrence, who you may remember from Blossom. He was the guy that said, "Whoa! Whoa!" But yeah, he was like 7 years old in this. But basically the movie is he's living with his dad and stepmom on summer vacation, and different houses in the neighborhood are getting electronic pulses sent to their home by some force, and it's making them crazy and kill everyone. And finally the pulse hits their house and it's causing disruptions, and they're trying to survive it. Yeah, it was okay. It's 80s cheesy fun, and Joey Lawrence's little tiny little brother popped up as the neighborhood nerd. But other than that, it was okay. Another 80s cheesy fun, 576, and the halfway point to the record, 976 Evil. This got a whopping 9% on Rotten Tomatoes. Directed by Robert Englund, who you may know as Freddy Krueger. The first half is about this biker dude named Spike. He's like a teenager, I guess, but he's a biker, and he calls this hotline to get his horoscope, and then he's got this. It's a mess. This movie. It follows him for the first half, and then it takes off and follows his nerdy young cousin that lives in the same house. And he starts calling the horoscope line, but when he calls the horoscope line, he gradually gets possessed by a demon. And then the movie completely focuses on the nerdy cousin, because he's going crazy and out of control and killing people. Yeah, there's probably a good reason Robert Englund didn't get a whole lot of jobs directing, because this was kind of a mess. But it's what you'd expect. It's still cheesy 80s horror, which I can't seemingly get enough of because I keep watching them. But let's get into the top 10 movies of the year so far. Top 10 movies of the year so far that I've seen. First, let's discuss a couple that didn't quite make the list. Indignation, a fine little film. Rudderless, hard-hitting drama. It, everyone knows about It. And Dunkirk, a nice recent war film. But in no particular order, here's the top 10 of what I've seen so far this year. Of course, Silence. I've discussed that many times. It's available for streaming on Hulu. I wish someone would watch it and give me a review of it, because nobody has thus far. Warhorse, one recommended by my mother. Let's discuss my mother. I know for a fact my mother doesn't watch this show, because every time I talk to her, "So you still doing that thing?" "Yes, Mom, I'm still watching the movies, trying to set the record." "Oh, that's nice." "Mom, have you listened to the podcast?" "The what?" "The podcast on YouTube." "Is that online?" "Yes, Mom, you have to go online. You have to go on YouTube and type in 1200 films, and it'll pop up." "I have to go on the internet and do what now?" "Never mind. Just forget it." But yeah, it was her recommendation. Warhorse, good movie. Mississippi Grind, an excellent Ryan Reynolds movie. I, Tanya, about Tanya Harding. Gosh, trailer trash at its best and worst. Elvis Nixon. The Disaster Artist, James Franco, still knocking them out. 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri, and people watch this left and right, but nobody can watch Silence. Guardians of the Galaxy 2, you can't deny that one. My Friend Dahmer, the lighthearted look at the early childish teenager years of Jeffrey Dahmer. Somehow this movie. And meeting Monica Valor with the chick from Sex from the City, whatever, the Kim Cattrall. But yep, that's it for this one. This episode is long, so we'll see you on the next one.